Well, you mentioned that you used the term, Holocaust, like the black community is going through a slow Holocaust.
Holocaust in slow motion. I understand how loaded the term Holocaust is, that we in the Jewish community feel as if we have a unique experience. I think it's a profound experience, and it is intensely profound for us, and I don't diminish what it means to have organized killing as a state-sponsored activity. But it is not unique in the way I understand the word unique. In my lifetime, I've lived through Uganda, through Rwanda, through Cambodia, killing over ethnic strife that results in Bosnia, ethnic strife that results in mass murder and genocide is not so unique as we think. And when I look at the amount of tragedy that I've seen just in 20 years of watching it in Baltimore, the wasted lives, the prevarications in which we claim to be raising these, or including these kids and offering them equal opportunity to participate in our society. We're really not. If you know what the Baltimore school system is, we're training them for the corners. Right. We're training them for a drug economy. The factories are gone. We don't need a working class. We don't need these Americans, and they're not fools. They know it. They get that they're not part of our collective.
Well, and in Baltimore, they're very much isolated just by the fact there's no public transportation.
They're right. There is no barbed wire around West Baltimore. I don't mean to suggest that when I use the phrase slow motion Holocaust, which was actually my co-author, Ed Burns, was the one who first said it. And when he said it, I said, much as I hate to belabor that term over anything that isn't referring to the Jewish experience in World War II, from what I've seen, the amount of waste, the amount of human loss and tragedy and stunted lives, it's happening very slowly, but it's been happening for generations now, and it just gets worse. And that my community wouldn't react to it with as much passion as they would. Tikkun Olam means fix the world. It doesn't mean fix Owings Mills. It doesn't mean fix your synagogue. It doesn't mean fix Sinai Hospital. It means fix the world. I expect Jewish philanthropy to serve Jewish need first. I understand that. But here in New Orleans, I looked at, before I made that speech at the GA, I looked at that speech and I looked at the figures and I said, they raised a good bit of money, 14 million.
28.
What?
28, I think.
The figures I had were 14.
Okay.
It was given.
They used 28, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever they raised, their breakdown to me, and it was figures that came out of the.
14, I think, went to non-Jewish causes. No, that seems high.
No.
Yeah.
I had 14 coming from the national, of which. Excuse me. I had 14 coming. You'll have to look it up because maybe I got it wrong, but I had 14 coming from national, of which I think 1.8 went to the general community.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that's the right percentage breakdown or not. I'm not one to say I don't know how much the need was in the Jewish community. I do know that the average income in the greater New Orleans area for Jewish families is $180,000 per household. And I know that the average income for all families in this area is about $30,100.
Which is great, because the executive of the Federation down here said, our community here is not rich, but...
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe compared to Manhattan, they're not. I don't know. But compared to Gentilly or the Lower Ninth Ward or New Orleans East, there is more affluence in the Jewish community. But very tellingly, there was a program in there that was paying Jews, young Jews, college graduates or professionals who had no prior experience in New Orleans, a stipend and membership to the JCC and membership in synagogues, and they're providing ample support if they would move here. It sounds like a noble program, and when I first cited it, there was actually some scattered applause in the room. Well, until I pointed out that there are people who live their whole lives in this community who can't get home. There are tens of thousands of people in Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, Baton Rouge, Atlanta, Houston, Memphis, St. Louis, who can't get home. The road home money was not enough. The road home money paid off the bank loan and paid to put the house on up a little bit on stilts or raise the foundation so that they could qualify to rebuild. And by then there was no money left in all they've done is they were able to buy their land back, if that.
Right.
And then, of course, the next year's taxes come. The dysfunction in the safety net that has left tens of thousands of New Orleanians unable to get home. You have to look pretty hard to look past that and think, what can we do about bringing somebody here who this isn't? You know, you have to overlook a lot of desperation to find other needs than that, and yet somehow we managed to.
Right. Yeah. And one of the amazing things about the Jewish nonprofit world is, I think a lot of our success here has to do with pushing out of the shtetl and that conflict between like what was very
Right.
Judeo-centric life and then outside life, and like that tension is created.
Absolutely, and if we're not for us, who will be for us?
Right.
And nothing ever truer was said. So I don't expect to see 80% of the money raised by the Associated in Baltimore, the Jewish Federation, to go to non-Jewish causes. That's not the purpose of these charities. And I understand there is a lot of Jewish need overseas and in this country as well. But listen, I don't believe in chosen-ness. That was one place where I had to get off the boat in terms of religiousness. I don't believe in that. I believe there are many different routes to God. I find that my faith is not anchored in any aggressive way to the Judaism I was taught, whereas my sense of peoplehood and culture is intensely anchored. I know who I am and where I came from, and that matters to me. But if it comes down to chosen-ness, you got to put me with Spinoza and call a bet din, because I can't get around it. I don't believe in it. But the one part of it that always sounded wonderful, and the one place where if you were going to hang your hat on the notion of chosen-ness, you might be able to do it, was on the idea of a light unto nations, and the idea that being chosen was not a special dispensation from God. It was only obligatory, that it only had burden associated with it. You know, it's not that we just carry the law, we carry the meaning of the law, the intent of the law. Otherwise, law is just a book. And we may be the people of the book, but the intent matters. And what I always imagined would be the most admirable thing would be to look past race, to look past religion even, and to exert on behalf of humanity at all the points where humanity is the most vulnerable.
So
that to me would be the highest aspirations of Jewish life.
So when you're contemplating characters, do you think about interjecting Jewish characters and how to portray them?
I do. I actually give it a lot of thought in The Wire. I mean, I don't know that we've done anything like that with Treme. We're not really in those communities in that sense. I mean, at some point we may be. In The Wire, I thought about it. It was basically a crime-driven story and a political story. And the political dynamic in Baltimore, with the exception of sort of a couple of districts in the Northwest, is kind of beyond Jewish. You know, if you wanted to do Jewish in the political dynamic, you'd have to go back to Jack Pollock and to the 40s and 50s when they actually ran a good chunk of a political machine. That era is gone. But I looked at it in terms of the legal system, sure, because many of the lawyers that I knew as a police reporter in Baltimore were Jewish. And that would be good lawyers who were honorable and who did their job, many of whom worked for the state and were not actually even in private practice. They had foregone private practice to do the work of being prosecutors and public defenders, and many of whom, in fact, several of whom come immediately to mind, who were drug lawyers for the sheer and raw profit of it, and a good many of whom, I would say 2 or 3 that I can think of specifically right now, who were disbarred for having lost themselves and their ethic in the sheer amount of money involved in defending drug organizations. And they were all Jewish. Mm-hmm. Now, so how did I portray that in the show? Well, Maury Levy, a consummate drug lawyer, he was Jewish. He was modeled on 2, 3 other guys who were Jewish. On the other hand, Eileen Nathan and Rhonda Perlman were also Jewish. 3 surnames, 3 Jewish lawyers, they were honorable civil servants. So there was a message in there. There was, there's 2 ways to go about doing your business if you're a Jewish professional, and we demonstrated both of them. And I was very careful to make lawyers on both sides.
Yeah, and I guess it's one thing to criticize inside versus criticize outside. You give that, and you thought. I mean, the other day you were inside the bubble.
Belly of the beast, so to speak.
It's not
Jewish
federal.
federal.
Right.